We're starting over course. This is a course designed for people who've been through major crisis in their life, people who want to move on, and that crisis could be, it could be a bereavement, it could be redundancy, it could be a health issue, but whatever it is, people need to find a way to move on with their life. So the course is designed to look at different areas of our life, how we can do that. The first session is back to basics, and with this one we really do look at how we look after ourselves. So looking back at a baby or an infant of how we were and what our needs were. We need sleep, we need nourishment, we need care, love and attention. And as an adult we still need those things, but we sometimes lose track on how to get them and how to look after ourselves properly. So that week is about actually addressing those things. Looking at our diet, looking at our rest, just generally looking at how we look after ourselves. And then we go on to managing anxiety, which is a very important one for moving on in our life, because often we're in an anxiety state. So we look at what anxiety is, how it is based on fear, which I love the definition of fear, which is false evidence appearing real. And we need to remember it is false evidence, it hasn't actually happened. So we look at techniques on how to manage anxiety in our life. And then from there we move on to detoxing your life. And 4 main areas that I cover in this. Detoxing possessions, which I think most of us are familiar with, how we gather lots of things and clutter. So it's all about decluttering. Then we look at detox your body, which again, without getting too obsessional about diets and exercise, it is looking at how we can really give our body a bit of a cleanse. And springtime is a great time to do this one naturally, but again when you've had a crisis, it's a good time to really look at how we are looking after ourselves. Detox relationships, which I think many of us again need to sometimes evaluate who we allow in our life and who our life is surrounded by. And so with that one, it's looking at our value system a little bit, because generally if we value ourselves, then we won't allow people in who don't value us. And the last one on that one is detox your mind. And this is about finding a way to be a little bit more at peace with ourselves and not rushing away in the future and again procrastinating about the past, but actually learning ways of focusing on the here and now. And once again, children and babies are wonderful at focusing on exactly what is happening in front of them. So we need to take a leaf out of their page and sometimes observe how little ones do this. And then from there we have a very fun week of the benefits of laughter, and we look at how laughter and happiness can actually improve our state of health, improve our state of mind, and generally give us a much happier life. So that one we do have fun. We use, I always bring along fancy dress props and lively music, sometimes even teach a few steps of dancing. But we really do actually get actively involved in that one and just generally have a good laugh. And people recognise how they benefit, how their bodies feel better. So we learn about the benefits of laughter, but also experience it. And following that session, the next one is the power of now. So we learn to be still, and we learn the benefits of actually resting our mind. But again, through exercises, we can do this better. And I do quite a lot of work with the right and left brain. The left brain being the logical, the one that is always telling us what we should do. And I encourage people to rest that one a little bit and get the right brain working more, which is the creative, intuitive one. And again, sometimes we need a little bit of help with this one, but it does have amazing results when we do it. The next session is confidence and self-esteem. And confidence and self-esteem comes from self-value. So we look at how we value ourselves, and that week I encourage people to do exercises where it will help them to feel better about themselves. They often have exercise to take away from the session, so for the week we practice things like rewarding ourselves, giving ourselves treats, stop being a self-critic, check yourself with your self-talk. So a little bit of a cognitive approach comes in there. And and patting ourselves on the shoulder, or patting ourselves on the back rather, just, you know, when we've done something good. And moving on from that, we do communication skills. Communication skills is the key to good relationships. How we communicate with each other really says a lot about us. And we look at listening skills, and from my counselling background, I do actually teach people techniques which can really change every relationship in their life. So a very powerful one, and a very important one for people who want to perhaps get back to work as well, things like that. And then we have understanding bereavement. And bereavement is a great thing that happens to most of us at some stage in our life, and it can be very debilitating. Bereavement can obviously be from loss of a loved one through death, but also loss comes in many ways. So we explore the grief process and how it works, and whether you've lost something so simple as your car keys to losing your job or your identity or status, the process is very similar. So we recognise that, and by accepting and learning how to deal with that helps people to move forward from it. And then we have healing through writing, a lovely session. I do actually do a 10-week course on this subject alone. And healing through writing is about learning how, once we put things down on paper or we get them out of our head, writing is obviously what this session's about, but some people use art, it can really let go, it can allow us to let go of emotions and things that we can't always talk about. So that's a very powerful session, and many people go on with writing and often learn they have quite a creative skill just from doing the one session. But many people do, I know, and I've witnessed this, have found it very beneficial to sometimes write down a problem, and they've even solved it. I remember one lady saying that she was going to a meeting and she needed to meet up with a senior and talk over problems she was having with another member of staff. So she decided to write down the problem before she went to the meeting, and when she wrote down the problem she could see the solution, that she actually cancelled the meeting. And that's just an example of how powerful writing can be. And then on our last session we have creating a new image, which is a lovely one to finish on, because when people have worked through the 9 processes here, the 9 steps to starting over, we can actually look at who we are and what we want to be. And apart from the physical image, sometimes people do physically want to change their image because they don't feel they are the person they were. But also looking at our interests and how we want to move forward with our life. And with all the tools that we will have practiced along the way, it will provide people, hopefully, with the tools to move forward.